Hi there, how are you?
Good,
Dave.
how are you?
Welcome to Lexus. You are?
Sarah, pleasure to meet you.
Sarah, very nice to meet you. I know we did a little bit online together. We talked a couple times on the phone. It sounds like you're looking at a few different vehicles.
Yep.
And what were the other two that you were thinking of?
Well, I'm looking at the MDX and I'm also looking at the SRX.
Okay, wonderful. And have you had a chance to drive those cars?
I have.
Excellent. What'd you think?
They were really nice.
Okay.
They're performed well, and a couple of my friends own Lexuses, so
Okay.
that's what kind of brings me here today, and as we discussed on email.
Absolutely, and obviously those cars are pretty different size. Are you needing a third row seat? Is that something that's important to you?
It's not. It's just me and my daughter. You know, I want something that's safe,
Okay.
that's comfortable.
Okay.
But I also want something that, as I told you in email, that it performs well.
Absolutely. Well, I think you're going to love the RX. Let's do this. I'll start in the back. I'll show you a few things as we kind of work our way through. As you have questions, feel free to ask me anything that you need to.
Okay.
What I'm going to show you today is the 2015 Lexus RX. Now, I know you said that sportiness and kind of having performance is still a really nice priority,
Absolutely.
but you don't want to sacrifice the comfort.
Correct.
So what I've pulled up for us today, this is what we call the F Sport edition of the RX. Gives you a little bit different suspension, a little tighter drive. We'll kind of go through some variances. By no means does this have to be the car, but if performance is important to you, I at least wanted to show you a couple options that we have. Okay?
Sounds good.
We'll start in the back here. Now, I would assume, you said you were in sales, correct? You do a little bit of driving for your work?
I do. I drive about 20,000 miles a year.
Okay.
Now, how reliable are these things?
You know, as far as reliability goes, some people like to look online and do some of that research. I don't know if you've seen Consumer Reports at all.
I do.
For the third year in a row, Lexus has taken first place for reliability. Now, what they'll actually do is they'll predict models and they'll recommend or not recommend the vehicles. Lexus had a 78% recommendation, which means of all the cars they tested, most of them were on their best list. If you looked at Acura, they have actually a 40% recommendation from Consumer Reports, and Cadillac actually drops down to about 25.
Okay.
Not to say that they're not great vehicles, but definitely something that we look at, and they look at both road tests and reliability, so lots of different variables go into that. So if you're looking for something reliable, these literally are about as reliable as it gets. Very good question.
That's important to me.
Well, one thing I was going to show you, so now if you looked at the back of those other vehicles, the Acura obviously is a little bit longer, so despite a few extra inches of length, you actually have more cargo space in the back of the RX than both of those other vehicles. So the nice thing, if you don't need the third rows, you have a lot more room to take your stuff with you. A lot of the vehicles out there, these walls are going to go flat, or you've got big lumps for the suspension. With the rear suspension being independent, they freed up some space, also improves the handling of your vehicle.
Right.
And what's really nice for flexibility, this does have a 3-section back seat. A lot of cars will do the 60-40, so if you are taking longer objects and you still have adults, you've got a lot of room there. They give you lights so you can see what you're doing in 3 different places, makes it a little easier for you day to day. In addition to this storage, you also have an area underneath the vehicle. Your spare tires underneath. Now this is a full size, but it's a temporary tire. You do have roadside assistance. That's a 4-year, 50,000 bumper-to-bumper warranty that comes with these vehicles, and you have roadside assistance the entire time. Your powertrain is 6 years out to 70,000 miles, and then you've got a 6-year unlimited for corrosion or rust or anything like that. One of the nice things, if you ever do need a spare, the Acura spare actually drops down like a truck from underneath the bottom of the car. This makes it a little easier. You shouldn't have to do it on your own because we'll come help you, but it's nice to at least know where those are. You've got some extra storage down below. If you're not needing those back seats, one nice advantage also is these seats do go down from the back of the vehicle, and these will go all the way flat or very close to it, so you have a lot of different ways you can mix and match that space.
Now, when my daughter's not with me, I take a lot of stuff in the cargo area for work. How much space is in the cargo area with all the seats folded down?
With all the seats down, you actually get 80 cubic feet, which is the largest of all 3 vehicles you're going to look at. So again, as a nice benefit to you, you're going to have a lot more space, but you're not driving around anything bigger than you need to. With those back seats up, you have 40 cubic feet, which again is the largest of the group. So you really get a nice dynamic for however you want to use the car. And since she's only 2, you can actually move this whole row about 4 or 5 inches forwards. Gives you a little better access to her and a little bit more room for her stuff.
Okay.
The back also has a cargo area. You can keep this across for some of those day-to-day items, food, that kind of stuff, so it's not flying around at the grocery store for you. And you should have plenty of room for strollers and anything else.
Now, comfort is important to me because I'm doing a lot of driving around town.
Okay.
How would you describe the ride?
Extremely comfortable. Now, if we look at the Sport specifically, it's got a little firmer suspension. So what we'll probably do a little later on is we'll have you drive the cars. If you like that firmer feel, the F Sport is the perfect car for you. If you think it's a little bit too firm, the regular RX 350 non-F Sport's going to give you about as comfortable a drive as you can get. And I'll walk you through the seats and some of the ways that they make them that way. But definitely, I think that's something we can kind of test out together. Now your back door is powered. You got a button on your key that's going to do that. There's always going to be a camera off the back. Safety is very important to Lexus, so we always want to make sure you're covered as you're driving around. This will give you a nice clear view off the back of your vehicle. I know you said navigation is also something you're looking for.
That and safety are very important to me.
Excellent. All of our vehicles with navigation will also have what's called intuitive park assist. Those are going to beep at you when you get close to objects, front and back. You got 4 on each side. One thing they've also done, we've taken the wiper blade off the back glass. It really helps free up your view as a driver so you can see out of the back of your car. It also works a lot better by pushing things off the window, and it definitely gives the car a much cleaner look off the back.
Great.
What I'll have you probably do, sir, Sarah, is I'm going to have you stand about right here for me.
Sure.
Most cars have really nasty blind spots through the back of the car.
Yep.
This window is dead even with the back of the seat, so you're going to see great going this way. You can see that this window slopes down, so you can still see great when you're looking over your shoulder. All right, Sarah, now I'm probably going to have you stand about right here for me.
Okay.
And what I want to show you, so a lot of these vehicles, one of the biggest things that cause a lot of noise while you drive is the air coming by your car. So one thing that's really nice, they space these outside mirrors off the wall of the car. It really helps that air come by a lot quieter for you.
Yeah.
And they always mount them down low, so you have a nice big channel there. But more importantly, it really helps pick up your visibility this way, having those mirrors a little bit farther off the wall. You'll notice that we can see the headrest for the driver, which means as you're driving, you're going to have a nice 4 to 5 foot line off the entire back side of the car that you won't be able to figure out where people are at. Now the nice thing is all the vehicles have blind spot monitoring. You shouldn't have to rely on a light to tell you there's someone in your blind spot, so you really shouldn't have to rely on that, but you will also have a light that's going to come on in that mirror if anybody comes up at the vehicle.
Right.
And that radar system goes off of both sides about like this anytime anyone comes into that area.
I do a lot of inner city driving, and navigation is really important to me.
Yeah.
And live traffic updates. And then also I stream music wirelessly. Can this car do that?
You know, it definitely can, and I definitely will get there. I know with your daughter, I want to kind of walk you through some of the big stuff for her in the back, but we do have the navigation system, the way it works, some of the stuff you can do while you're driving is absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
With these, now she's about 2, so one of the most important things you're going to find, both of the other vehicles that you're going to look at, and most cars in general, all cars have side curtain airbags in the back. They protect your head. Most cars do not have actual side seat rear door airbags.
Right.
Extremely important if you ever got hit from the side. They deploy laterally, so you're not going to impede on any smaller children, but most cars don't even have an airbag where she's going to sit, so I think that's really important for you.
Absolutely.
If she's not back there, you have people with you, the seats are very easy to operate. You've got one lever here that'll flip those seats all the way down from the back, the same thing that we saw in the back of the car. If you do need to move the seats, they do slide back and forth. And then they also recline, so you have lots of space, very, very comfortable for any of your guests, but you'll have a lot more room in the back of those seats. You do have a little more leg room, front and back, in this vehicle than you will in both the other cars that you're looking at.
Okay.
One thing that's nice too for our weather, a lot of doors, they'll stop this edge right here. Problem with that is in Minnesota, you get lots of snow and dirt and debris building up on that ledge where you get in.
Right.
We drop these doors about 6 inches down. It really helps trap that debris up underneath the car, so all that snow and dirt's not collecting here and tattooing you on the legs every time you get in and out of your car.
Oh yeah.
It also creates a third seal. Keeping the noise down is a really high priority for Lexus. You notice a lot of people tell you how quiet their cars are.
Yeah.
There's a few things that we do that make our cars a little quieter, and I'll show you what those are, okay?
Okay.
Now when you're driving, do you do mostly city or in-town?
In-town driving.
In-town, city, and some highway?
Yeah.
One of the things that's really great with these vehicles, you can run your hand atop the glass here. It's safety glass, it's not going to cut you. You've got 2 different panes of glass here. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
And then feel the headliner up here on the roof, how soft that is.
Very
Now
soft.
you're probably never going to touch the roof of your car, but shy of that, it really helps absorb the noise while you drive. We use the double pane glass in our LS, which is pushing somewhere around 90 grand. Really makes the car nice and quiet when you're driving down the road. Most cars aren't going to have that. If you slice these cars in half, there's foam and insulation and all sorts of things they do to keep them as quiet as possible.
That's important to me.
Signals on the mirrors, you will see these in most cars. These actually have grooves cut into them, again, to help that air kind of flow around the car, trying to keep that whipping effect from the wind happening behind you instead of right by your face.
Okay.
I'll show you a couple things now. I would imagine, do you tend to do your own servicing? Do you do them locally? Do you take them farther away?
I come to the dealership for service, and
Okay.
Service is important to me.
Excellent. And
What
with
are
the
the oil
mileage,
change intervals?
with the mileage that you drive, the oil change intervals are done every 10,000 miles.
Okay.
The nice thing with Lexus, it's very easy to operate these cars, and everything that they give you under here is pretty straightforward. Generally, unless you like to work on your own cars, oil, checking the oil, your washer fluid's probably the only normal thing you probably have to mess with. You've got your battery. With these vehicles, the 5,000 mile service is going to be a tire rotation. One of the nice advantages, these have what's called active torque control all-wheel drive. What that means is when you're driving on a dry day like today, it's 100% front wheel base, and it'll transfer that power backwards only when necessary. So you get a little bit better fuel efficiency and a little bit better handling on a dry summer day. They do keep firewalls here up top and everything again to kind of seal out the noise, so it's nice and clean.
Right.
It holds itself open for you, and outside of those routine services, you really should never have to be here. Now, we do have prepaid maintenance plans if you like to buy that ahead of time. Our service department's fantastic. Everything's indoors. We would always have a loaner car if you need one. And whether it's from myself or the service team, you should find exceptional service all the way around.
Great.
With that said, the mileage on these now, the F Sport Edition, since it's got an 8-speed transmission, gives you about 2 extra miles per gallon on the highway. Some people really like that. That's going to be an 18 to 26 on average.
Right.
The non-F Sport's usually around 18 to 24. These are rated for regular gas. That's going to give you a little better mileage than the SRX. Now the Acura fudges that up just a little bit, but they do take premium fuel. So
right.
if you take that out of the equation, these actually get a little better fuel efficiency than everything else as well.
Great.
Now most of your vehicles have smart access keys. As long as that key is in your pocket or your briefcase, you can walk up to the vehicle, place your hand in the handle, makes it really easy for you day to day. You're not messing with knobs and buttons on the outside of the car, so I think that'll be a little easier for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead and have a seat there. You should find these seats to be extremely comfortable, and I know that's important to you. Now we talked about, how's that feel for you?
Really nice.
Really, really nice.
Yeah.
Outside of the airbags in the back for your daughter and your guests, these also have what's called knee airbags. What that does is it prevents your body from rolling into the dash if you ever got hit front to back. Most cars don't offer those. Very, very important if you ever have any collisions out there.
Okay.
These also have really structurally safe steel that goes through the middle of where you sit. There's roll cages front to back, so as far as safety goes, they're about as safe as it gets. With the day-to-day adjustments that you have, everything here is fully automatic. Those program into your memory. Now with your stature where you sit, when you get out of these vehicles, when you turn on and off the car, you're pushing buttons, you're no longer taking the keys over. Again, with the smart keys, makes it a lot easier for you.
Yeah.
That seat's gonna move back with easy access as well as the steering wheel, so you have a little bit more space to get out. If anybody else drives your vehicle, you do have memory seats standard with the way that we build them that'll lock that all into the same spot.
Okay.
For your day-to-day trips, you do get a cup holder for your left hand. You also have some storage down below with an extra cup holder there. All your windows are fully automatic. I'm going to swing around. I really think you're going to like this navigation system.
Okay.
Now what you're going to find, I know you drove the other two cars. With the Cadillac Q system, you're going to kind of saw that horizontal dash up the way. Some touchscreen control still there, but lots of action going on. With Lexus, this is what's called the remote touch. It's very simple. It's like a mouse on a computer. It's point and click. With the Acura, you saw there was 2 different screens, also some dials. The nice thing, all the latest technology, very, very easy and clean to use. With the navigation, you do have navigation traffic, so you're going to see all your traffic up there. They designed these hands-free so that all your day-to-day controls are at your fingertips. Your Bluetooth for your phone is standard, Bluetooth for your music. The screen is back in the dash so your eyes stay a little closer to the road. How does that lay out for you? Does that feel pretty comfortable?
Really good.
Excellent. You've got heated and cooled seats with these vehicles. Day-to-day stuff in most cars up top are always fairly standard. Driving the Lexus is by far the best way to really get a feel for it. But does that give you a pretty good rundown of some of the features on our car?
It does. Let's go over some leasing options.
Absolutely. Well, the nice thing with leasing and the mileage that you drive, Lexus sets those leases up a little bit better on the back end, so we'll sit down and go through those. For today's sake, let's grab a desk. We'll kind of go through that stuff, and then I've got some online stuff I can show you as well with some comparisons between the cars.
Perfect.
All right, great. We'll swing out. We'll grab a desk.
Awesome.
My pleasure.